All right, welcome back into another edition of Keeping Up with Oxford Athletics. Time to talk a little girls basketball here. And Coach, before we dive into the basketball portion of everything, how was your Christmas with your family and New Year's outside of basketball?
It was fantastic. We actually host everybody at our house. Both of my parents are retired, so it's always nice having everybody together, especially during basketball season. A lot of times family time is limited. Yeah. So when you get that little bit of downtime and get everybody together, it's always good.
Hey, do you remember back in the day? I always look at it this way. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, I thought Christmas was never going to get here. I was like, you just sitting there begging for it. Now as an adult, it's like you blink, school year starts, blink, Christmas, blink.
Well, I know I was extremely late putting my decorations up this year, so it does come up on you fast.
You said this earlier, but the basketball season, a lot of times you don't get as much family time as you probably need to, but it's just nature of the job, nature of the beast. How did you manage your time during the holidays with the team, with family, and work through all that?
Well, for one, I always try to give them our schedule well in advance. We passed our practice calendars out back in October, so I think that helps some, so you can really nail down, okay, we're going here, we're not going here, so you can really nail down that family time. And when you know, hey, this is going to be a day off, it makes it a lot easier 2-3 months in advance to schedule. But I try, I can't always promise, but I try when it is those days. Our big one is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, because we have God family that we do breakfast with, in-laws, and then my family. I try not to have my computer out. I try not even to have my phone with me. Just because I know if I am, I'll be tempted to watch film or trade film or whatever, or even be watching a game or something on my phone. So I try to kind of almost disconnect from technology, just so that temptation is not there.
How did the girls fare over the holiday? Because you had 2 weeks there, and I know you guys had got some games, and I got to come to one that looked really good when I was here to watch you guys play against Sardis.
Well, we actually had a pre-Christmas tournament scheduled that ended up getting dissolved, so we found some extra games. I thought we played really well over the break. Played some really good competition. Chelsea got us over the break, but they get a lot of people. But I thought we were playing really, really well over Christmas break. And then since then, we lost by 1 at Shades Valley, which we're going to grow a lot from that. I think our young ones will learn a lot from that one. And then we ran into the juggernaut of Spring Garden. So I've talked about A's on here before. And I actually asked Coach Austin after the game, I said, when was the last time y'all lost a home game? Yeah. He told me it was 2017. So that's an incredible streak that they've been on, just continued success. And, I always try to talk to other coaches because, when you're that successful, like you want to model it as best you can like them or learn as much as you can from somebody like a Coach Austin.
It's amazing because they've had, kudos to you for playing them, because this year he can't find people to play them. He couldn't even get nowhere near the number of games scheduled. So, but all that's going to do is make you better. Talk about that when you get to go against a Ricky Austin or Tim Miller, who you went against before. You've went against some really good coaches, but what are you taking away from that? I know sometimes you've won some of these games, you've lost some of these games, but you always probably take something away. What do you take away from that?
Absolutely. Well, when you play good competition, it makes your players elevate their level, or on those losses, it gives you things that you can learn from. I told our girls, when Ace does what she does, that may be the only time in your career you play against a 5-star. So, watch how she moves, how she handles herself, watch how she warms up, things like that. Because there's always something that can be learned. And I'll be very honest, I love playing great coaches like that because a lot of times their sets are phenomenal. I know Crystal Johnson, Hoover runs a bunch of good sets. Tim Muller runs a bunch of good sets. So even as a coach, we're constantly looking at, that would really work well for ours if we lined them up this way or if we had this person doing that. So I think a lot of coaches do that. I think a lot of coaches admit that, I saw this at a clinic or I saw this video. I was actually watching something live the other day and saw a little variation, a little tweak to a play and was like, I really like that. Wrote it down and, something. So I think all coaches do that. I know you mentioned Austin not getting games. a lot of people get hung up on the classification. Oh, that's a 1A beating a 6A, but that's not not a typical 1A, and they beat most people. But the competition, if we can get competition within an hour, why would we not get competition within an hour? Because other than maybe taking the loss, like there's no negative to playing a caliber team like that.
Now with the breaks past you, what's the number one focus you have as a coach to get this team kind of peaking down the stretch? Because there's always, to me, it's the first half of the season, back half of the season. To me, you may disagree with me, I think the back half's always a little bit more important. But
absolutely. Well, that's when your area games are. So, your area games determine your future into February. So I totally agree, back half. Front half is almost, I won't say a preseason, but it's fine-tuning. It's what else can we get in, tweaks, kind of learning situationally who may do better here or there. Back half of the season is when it's got to come together. That's when, you got to balance, I won't say load management, but, you got to balance, because you got to make sure that you're fresh and you're mentally fresh, ready, in particular for those area games. I know here, the Calhoun County tournament is a big deal for this area. The community really buys into that. There's a great atmosphere at JSU, phenomenal atmosphere. Love playing there. And I know our players really care about that. Again, community does. So January is a loaded month between area games and then Calhoun County tournament.
How important is that Calhoun County tournament? Because I'll tell you why it's important, for a couple of reasons. One, last year we did at TV24, we got to see the number of views. Just the views was over 350,000 people.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Mathematician or anything, but I know that 350,000 people do not live in Calhoun County.
Correct, not even close. Yeah.
So that means people from outside's watching this, and it's get played on the court that you eventually want to make it to.
Absolutely.
Talk about those things.
Well, in that experience, we always try to go to JSU during the summer. That's one of those, I think most coaches would agree. If you have an opportunity to play at a regional site, you need to do it as much as possible, because it's a different gym. The college court's that little bit longer court. Depending on where you are, I know this bothered us when we played at BJCC. The depth perception, if the bleachers are much further behind the goal, that throws you off a lot of times. The lighting, so getting those opportunities is always super critical, and the more you can do it, again, I don't think there's there's no negative to that.
That's right. I agree with you 100%. And that tournament, you're going to get some very good teams, you get some good looks.
Right.
Get your tournament ready. A couple more questions, we'll get you out of here. Let's talk about area right fast. Your thoughts on the area so far and looking ahead.
I definitely think, home court right now is proven to be tough. We dropped one at Shades Valley by 1 the other night. Pretty much led the whole game. I thought they did a good job in the fourth quarter of speeding us up. But again, like I mentioned, that's something that we're going to learn from, we're going to grow from. Pell City actually beat Shades Valley last night by 4 at their place. So knowing that we go on the road at Pell City Tuesday, that puts that much more importance on that game, and how I think a quick start is super important to kind of build your confidence early, and then being able to close a game. A lot of times that's where your youth shows, or lack of experience shows, is late in games. And I think that was a little bit of ours, some key things did or didn't happen. But obviously, you got to learn from them quick, because with a 3-team area, there's not a lot of turnaround. There's not a lot of margin for error.
You get the first round bye, too, with a 3-team area, correct?
If you're the 1 seed, yes, sir.
If you're the 1 seed, yeah. And then Shades Valley was the Final Four team last year, correct? No, Elite 8.
Elite 8.
Elite 8, that's right, yeah.
And their point guard actually broke her nose after our game. She broke either her nose or her jaw that next day in practice, so she sat the Elite 8 game, or she wasn't even there for the Elite 8 game.
Man.
Yeah, their senior point guard.
Okay, wow. So I knew they had a really good season last year.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tough area.
It is.
Yeah, Pell City, they had that's a pretty tough area.
Yeah, Pell City is extremely athletic. They're one of those, they had a great Christmas, totally different team before Christmas, after Christmas. So they're playing really well. Jennifer does a great job with them. You always hate when she starts calling her sets, because they're going to meticulously run those sets until they get the exact shot that they want. Exactly. So extremely well disciplined.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined right along with them when you're defending it. Final thoughts, Coach. That'll be our last question, Daisy. This could be anything, practice, anything, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, weather is always a big question in
That is
Alabama.
huge right here.
So, there's nothing official, but we're, kind of waiting on a decision to be made with that, and we'll get the word out on social media about when the game is moved, if it's moved. That is actually also our senior night, so please be on the lookout for when that gets moved, because Varsity Girls and Cheerleaders, that's our senior night, so would love for that home game support to come out for those seniors.
That's, the game is scheduled for Friday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so yeah, and then senior night, that's a big hiccup. Yeah, just let us know too, we'll post on Average Joe. So.
All right.
All right, Coach,
Sounds good.
appreciate you sitting in with us. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.